Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Audiotree. My name is Jason, your local expert in heavy music. And today is Friday, April 4th. We're coming at you live from Chicago, Illinois on this brisk yet cloudy and comfortable afternoon. Before we get into today's show, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We here at Audiotree work so hard to bring you bands like this, the best bands we could think of on our show. And you don't want to miss out on any of it. And you're going to if you don't hit that button. So please, just do it. As usual, you can find this session on every streaming platform imaginable, including Spotify, Apple Music, all the other ones I can't even think of right now. And now, from different places all over the country, to bring you guys something a little different as far as heavy music goes, one of the finest new core bands from the country, Tallah. Take it away, guys. That's just what we know. Hey guys, this has always been something strange for us here at Audiotree. Over 88% of you who watch our videos are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So could we please ask you a favor? If you like the show and you like discovering new music and you want to support us, the free and simple way to do that is to just hit the subscribe button. And our commitment to you is that if you do that, our team will continue to get the best bands we can. We'll listen to your feedback. We'll book the bands you want to see on the show, and we'll continue spreading the word of live music to the world. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. I don't even know what to say right now. That was so crazy. I don't think I've ever heard a band this crazy on Audiotree before.
That's sick.
Yeah, that was insanely impressive. You guys are like S-grade musicians. I have so many questions I don't even know where to start. Like, not even scripted here. But like, you guys are from all over the place, right?
Yeah, we don't got a hometown. I mean, we congregate in PA, but
Okay.
we got 6 states involved here. We got Florida, California, Jersey, PA, Arizona, and Massachusetts. So.
Wow. Okay. For all of you guys to be living in such separate areas, it is a shock to me to hear a band play such complex music that tight in the pocket without practicing 7 hours a day.
Thank
you know what
you.
I'm saying? That's insane. I could never imagine doing that.
It's not fun.
So cool.
It's very stressful.
It's also not easy.
Yeah, I can imagine. But those not only, the compositions themselves, so complex. That whole thing you guys just did and that track Augmented, that's insane. I don't even know how I would think about that or count it in my own head. Very impressive. Very cool stuff.
Sweet. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. So, Tallah. When I think of you guys, the first time I heard you guys, I heard the term new core being thrown around, right? And this is something I feel that's very interesting, that's not really talked about a lot these days in heavy music, is that transition era between modern metalcore, sort of over like the last decade or so, I would say, kind of taking on more of a new metal influence to it. I saw it, and maybe a lot of people from here in Chicago have seen it with bands like, we had bands like Sworn In coming out of here, bands like Villains coming out of here, which really was kind of the first taste I ever had of something like that, metalcore mixed with new metal. Now, you guys are doing something completely different than that, in my opinion. And I hear so much more than just new metal and metalcore. There's so much to these songs so far that I've only heard that just seem to bring so much. I mean, I'm getting like a Faith No More vibe. Where do you guys pull from with this creativity?
I mean, the first album, Atriphagy, was definitely kind of like what you're talking about. Like, for me, it was mixing new metal with like a lot of hardcore stuff, like kind of like that modern thing. And that's kind of where it started, but it's just every time we do a new album, something new gets introduced. And this album specifically, the new one, it was kind of like all outside influences or inspiration that was just like out of the picture. It was just supposed to be like, let's figure out us, because we're a bunch of weirdos. Like, we play shows and like I feel like people don't understand us 90% of the time.
Right.
So I'm like, let's just do that with our music. And this new album, I feel like, is really much our own voice. And it's like, kind of like you were saying, you can't really pick exactly where the influences are from, but I mean, it's just kind of its own thing. That's how I feel about it. And that's what excites me about the new album. It's like, we're reinventing ourselves, but I feel like we're not losing where we came from with it. Like, it's still heavy, it's still driving, it's still got like those new metal-esque grooves and things like that, but it's something entirely different, I feel like. So I don't know, it's just kind of, it's trying to just be ourselves and not think about other people and other sounds and stuff,
Absolutely. I think that's such a great approach when it comes to trying to be creative, and especially writing an album. And that being said, you guys just announced this third album, right? I believe it's called Primeval Obsession, Detachment, with some other grammatical figures put in there that I don't know how to like pronounce or
just
speak
as
out
weird
loud.
as the music.
Definitely. And that's slated to come out this September, right?
Yep, September 5th.
So how does it feel for you guys to be this far in your career, 3 albums deep, but yet still so creatively on fire, so to speak?
I don't know. It's just kind of like I was saying earlier. It's just trying to reinvent yourself every album. And if I just try to sit down and do another version of the last album we put out, that's just going to sound stale and uninspired and just stupid. So it's like, why try to just, like, the last album, The Generation in Danger, was just crazy, chaotic, almost like mathcore-y stuff. It didn't make sense to just do that again. Like, what we're going to try and one-up the one we just did. It's like, let's do something new and not completely change everything. Like, we still love heavy music, so there's heavy moments and stuff. But it's like, if you're always finding new pieces to experiment with and new ways to approach your own sound, it's always going to be interesting. If you're trying to replicate something you already did, that's when it starts to sound like shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's really interesting to hear that take, because I also believe in that philosophy that I love when artists that I love, bands I listen to, take risks on their music. You know what I mean? I don't need one record to sound exactly identical to the one before it that I liked. And, it's that age-old, you guys obviously all listen to heavy music. We all know the age-old debates that always happen in a band's large catalog or discography where one person prefers this over the other. But I'm a firm believer that if you like one record by a band, maybe you don't like the other one, you're always going to have the record you like there. So it's not going anywhere as far as I know. So, but I mean, from outside looking in on Tallah in general, I could tell you guys have definitely stepped it up this time around. And
Thank you.
Another thing I really wanted to ask, while I was doing research on this new record, I haven't heard the whole thing, obviously the single you guys put out and whatever you're going to be playing for us today, but I read that you guys recorded this album live without a click track.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been a band, and we're always surrounded by bands that are very heavily on a click with backing tracks. Every time we tour, a lot of the bands, almost every single one is doing that, and we're always kind of like the weird ones that are like, oh, you guys don't have. Up until recently, we didn't even have in-ear monitors, so we were just half the time not even playing to each other, which is difficult. But yeah, I don't know. It was from the beginning of the band. It was always very much let's be as raw and organic as possible, but we would still go into the studio and use a click and do edits. This time around, it's just like I was just thinking about like why are we doing that when we get on stage and we don't do any of that? Like there's no point. Like let's just go into the studio like we do live. We sound good when we play live, so let's just do it in the studio. So it's we played the songs as a group, guitars, bass, and drums, and we would just play it live, no click, together. And then Justin came in at the end once we had everything recorded, and he just one-taked the entire album. I don't know if he wants to talk about that, but...
That is crazy. On vocals, you just did it in one take?
Yeah, so we went on tour with a Summer Slaughter tour.
Yep,
I got really sick. Like the sickest I've ever been. So I didn't go to the studio at first. So like all of September when they were recording, I wasn't there. And I was like, I'm just going to practice like the album from start to finish because I kept like coughing. I had pneumonia. Mm-hmm. So October comes around, I still had pneumonia. And I was just like, hey, Josh, I think I'm just going to try to do the whole album in one take. And he's like, okay. And I was like just hit record on the first song and just let it go. And he's just like, oh. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do it. And it was probably like the proudest moment of my life because I finished like I threw his mic down at the end, was like, fuck yeah. And then I was like, oh, I just threw his mic on the ground because it was like a SM57.
That's recorded somewhere. Justin's fuck yeah.
Yeah, we have that. And then we were like, no one's going to believe this. So they like hid ring cams.
Oh, yeah, we're never allowed.
I didn't even know they were in there. And I was just like doing my thing.
He doesn't like when we film him, so we hid cameras.
It makes me nervous. So they hid the cameras. It's like pitch black in there. So it's like we got the footage. There's time code. I'm just like, this is so sick.
That is crazy.
I haven't heard of it before.
We locked him in a closet.
Yeah, literally.
He was in a big closet to do this.
He did it in a tiny little closet.
No lights.
But yeah, it's the whole album's very much human and live, and we go back when it's over and we'll throw in some extra guitar layers or vocal harmonies, but I mean the base of what it is just live.
I love it. I think it's great. I think that's so cool. And honestly, can you guys play me a couple more tracks from this thing?
Yeah. We got you.
All right, let's hear it.
Get far away from you, but I Primeval obsession with the absence of good. Once it's broken, I'm soaking it in. By the time I've descended, both will die. Some soul kidding. I'll give you what you
All right, guys, that was pretty intense, especially that last song you guys just played. Very cool. Wow. If I didn't think that those first two songs couldn't have more thrown into them, it's like you guys just keep adding more and more surprises to what I expect from you guys as you're playing this music. Great
lot
job.
going on.
It sounded awesome. So one thing I would really like to ask about Tallah, at least something that caught my attention right off the bat when I was doing some research, was all of your guys' music, from my understanding, from what I've read correctly, and I hope I'm right here, every release you have done has been a concept. It's all conceptual.
Yeah, it's all that guy right over there.
Yeah?
Although this album, we've taken it a step further. The past two were like really just lyrical concepts, but this one we started doing musical concepts with it. There's a lot of like kind of twin imagery going on with it. I say imagery, but it's an album that's
Or like arrangement.
yeah. There's a lot of mirrored songs, like songs are kind of in pairs, and they'll share different musical themes or things. You know, some people might notice it with the track list. You know, we have a song called What We Know and one called What We Want, and they share a lot of themes and stuff. So it's this one's our most like in-depth concept sort of thing because it extends into the music this time. But I mean, Justin just loves doing concepts, so
Sure.
yeah.
Justin, would it be safe to say that, you know, from the get-go, at least with Tallah, your intention was to write conceptually for the band?
Yeah, I've pretty much always wrote concept albums. I really like bands like Coheed and Cambria and like Disillusion and Pathogenic, and I just love how their music like tells a story. And I'm like, I don't want to just write about like, you know, heartache or being mad or something. Like I want people to have something to cling to. And then I try to write it in a way so that people who aren't interested in the story can still like get into it and be like, yo, I feel it. Like, I get it. So it's like always kind of two stories going on at once.
Absolutely. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that that's a cool way to approach writing a concept because, I mean, in the world of metal, how many concept records do we have? About 1 billion? There's so many. And there's so many that get so hyper-specific. But I do think it's cool to write music with the intention of, hey, here is a story that kind of provides the context for the music, or, you know, so to speak. Or, you know, you could listen to these lyrics on just a day-to-day level and really jump in on any song on the record, you know, however you please. I do think that's a really cool, accessible way to make a concept record. So interesting that you guys kind of answered a question that I already had about this new record. So is this the first time you guys have recorded a record with the intention of making the music as much of a concept as the lyrics, where in the past maybe the lyrics were more just the focus on the concept itself?
Yeah, I mean, the first album was kind of interesting because it was just an EP first, and we didn't even have Justin in the band. It was recorded instrumentally. So then he wrote a concept to that, and then it ended up turning into our first album. So that one, we threw in songs in between and then put transitions so they've all flowed kind of like one piece, but it wasn't in mind to have that be musically a concept. And it was a little bit similar with our second album because that was actually written before the first one. We wrote The Generation of Danger like 90% of it before Metrifugy. So when that came around, that was like already done. So this is the first time it was kind of like, yeah, you know what, why don't we do some cool stuff with the instrumental too? And like, I don't know, there's a lot of fun stuff to play with, so first time for that.
That's awesome. That's cool that you guys approached this record from the ground up with that in mind. I think
Yeah.
that that's such a cool way to approach an album. Can I ask you guys, if I asked for a little tidbit on this new record of what's it about, could I get like a little brief summary without getting any spoilers going?
Oh man. Well, man, it's a heavy one. Because like I said, there's two stories that are going on at once.
Okay.
So you got like the like fictional story, which is basically you have these like two twins, and they live on opposite sides of the planet, and it's a totally like alien planet, totally different culture, and there's like basically these higher ups approach these two different twins and ask them to do this very immoral thing that neither of them want to do, but like if they don't do it, they're gonna like lose their lives, right? So they have to do it. So it's kind of like the first half is from one of their perspectives, and it's just going through like, do I do this or like not? And then it gets to the end of that, and then the next one kind of goes back, but now it's on the other side of the planet. Same process, like, do I do this or not? And then the big finale is like, what happens at the end and what the result of that is. But at the same time, like, the album's really personal to me. I don't want to like totally talk about it because I'm not comfortable yet, but something really, really bad happened to me, and it like messed up my entire life. And so I just really hold this album like really close to my heart, because like, I don't know, it just really showed me that like, you know, one minute you think you have it all and you're good, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, you're gonna die. And so it's just really, like, that's part of why I wanted to do it in one take, is it just really like, I wanted to put myself out there and be like, dude, like, life fucking sucks sometimes.
That it does. I think that's really cool that you weren't afraid to be vulnerable more on this record and kind of reflect some parts of your own life within the concept. I think that's really cool and very admirable. I feel a lot of heavy bands, maybe not a lot. There are plenty that deal with it, but I think that there's definitely a side of heavy music where maybe showing more of a emotional vulnerability within the lyrics is not quite the common factor there. So it's cool to hear a band like this doing something like that.
It's not easy, because like, you know, the first two albums we definitely were like just like making like horror stuff and like sci-fi stuff, and we're like, yeah, you know, fiction. And then, like I said, you know, all of a sudden, you know, everything changes. Life just kind of gives you the middle finger, and you're just like, I actually have something I want to say now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great, though. I think that's so cool, especially this far into your guys' career. You know what I mean? You guys got a couple records under your belt. It kind of provides even more of a freedom palette, I feel, you know, to just kind of explore those things on a creative level. So keep at it, guys, because this is awesome. And I would love to hear the rest of what you guys got to play for us today.
I'm just a bucket the wall, like an electrical storm. I search till I blow out your circuits. If gas the price to pay, baby green, and remember my misery. I'm living on a cemetery schedule. I've been up all night writing obituaries, hands like a devil, speaking in riddles, bed cracks and leaks ink all over the table. suggestions on how I should get it done. Don't overreact, this is how it goes. I'm a bit. She doesn't hear us out. Long to resentment while I dig me out. Could've found my new existence in my boy knows the outcome. That little prick likes to bury my thoughts. You know why? Cause he's a coward and I never quit. I shot two bullets in the wall just to stand between the eyes of God to let him see, let him weep. If the gods took the cast aside, and I'm over it, but I've been feeling so confident. I wasn't it only to help you out. I am the danger in the same man. I am missing away when my choices are mine. Must have been slave to the game and the pain and control of my confidence. Cause we've been part of the problem. Just let me prove it was me, love me too. Just let me prove it was me, love me too. Just let me prove it was me, love me too. Just let me prove.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for our viewers. Thank you to the camera and the audio crew here. Thank you, Tallah, for the amazing performance and probably one of the most unique, heavy performances we've had on this show. And lastly, thank you to our viewers. If you haven't, make sure, again, to like and subscribe our channel. Leave a comment if you feel so inclined. Honestly, if you see somebody leaving a comment and it's against your opinion, reply to that comment. Tell them your opinion. Do something with it. But like it, share it, please. We could use it all. You can check this session out right now on every streaming platform, such as Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, probably all the other ones I can't think of as well. So please go check it out as it's available. And once again, my name is Jason. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you again very soon.